Right? So we are, so to speak, in the bottom third of page AyinBase 12. The line starts with the word Shehu levado ve'ein zolosli. V'zuhi madrigas hachochmah. And we have this phenomenal challenge to understand how Chochmah, which is a koyach, a functioning koyach, how can that koyach, which is a presence, a mitzias, actually sense internal to itself, not know the truth, but sense internal to itself the absolute truth of hu levado ve'ein zolosli, that there is only He and there is none others, nothing else. Now, we should relate the pure truth without examining it, the truth as it is. All right, so we have the line Shehu levado ve'ein zolosli. V'yodua, it is known, which means it's explained. Shezehu mitzad hadveikus b'mkoiri. That this inyan, that this internal knowledge, meaning knowing the truth as an insider, as we said yesterday, not as an observer, even though it is really an observation, but this observation is such that gives you an insider's view. How is that? Mitzad, due to the fact hadveikus b'mkoiri. It is because of the dveikus, because of the cleavage to its source. Chochmah has this quality, this nature, to cleave to its source. Cleaving to its source means that its own self-identity, self-knowledge, is intertwined and is one with knowing the source. It's not two separate things. Shalideze, as a result of this, dveikus b'mkoiri, nir gashom, it is sensed there in the Chochmah, eich sheho'atzevus hu hayesh hu amiti. We started yesterday and we discussed this expression once before. If you take the word eich out of this sentence here, it would be a perfectly clear sentence. You sense there that the truth of the Atmas is a Yeshu Amiti. The word Eich is giving us a completely different recognition, understanding of what it is that Chochmah actually knows. Chochmah knows the principle that Atmos is a Yeshu Amiti the same way as Atmos itself knows it. The way that Atmos knows it, that's way. But Chochmah is an outsider. He's a koyach, an observer. But it has this quality of cleavage to its source. And this gives it an insider's view, as we said yesterday, a totally different sense of the reality that it understands. There is no gap, there is no space between the Chochmah and that which Chochmah perceives. I want to elaborate on this because this is an extremely rich and significant inyan. The Gemara tells us an episode. There's a machlokes, a discussion in the Gemara, what a hodos is supposed to look like. A hodos from the lulav. And it is a principle, an accepted principle, that a hodos that has the 3 leaves, a hodos consists of 3 leaves. And the 3 leaves are coming out from the same point, from the same nekuda. That is definitely what a hodos is. Rav Kahana said, "Afilu treyum v'chad." That even if there are 2 leaves coming out from the same stalk, and the 3rd one below it, that is also a kosher hodos. He didn't say that this is exclusively a kosher hodos. He said this is also a kosher hodos. So a Talmid of Rav Kahana, another Amoyim, I don't remember who it was, he went and he particularly was mehadef to find a hodos of this trei v'chad. Why? He said, "Given the nofik mipkumid Rav Kahana." Since that this came forth from Rav Kahana's mouth, this is the dearest thing to me. A hodos to me is not what I identify as a hodos. A hodos to me is what Rav Kahana identifies as a hodos. Rav Kahana identifies that is what gives me, this is what tells me that it's a hodos. I want we should understand. As a matter of fact, I had a big discussion yesterday with someone. The whole Torah is given to us in a manner of Moshe Rabbeinu was our first teacher. And everything is Mipri Moshe Mihar Sinai. Allah Moshe Mipri Sinai. Everything is Allah Moshe Mipri. Kol Masha Tamid Vosik, Kol Masha Tamid Vosik Vosik L'Chadish. HaKol Mitna Moshe Mipri. Why? He's a Tamid Vosik. He's a dedicated Talmud. Why can't he understand things on his own? Why do you have to substantiate that Nitan Misha Messina? And we say that he also Mechadish. He was like a Mechadish. Which means he was Mechadish if it Nitan Misha Messina. So the Rebbe explains that he is Mechadish only in terms of revealing it, bringing it down to his level of understanding. But if he learns it as a chidush, as a fundamental chidush, then it's not Torah. Torah is Nitel Moshe, and Moshe is teaching Torah to all Yidden. Whenever one learns Torah, even if he understands it on his own, he understands it because this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is explaining to him. That way, this is the only way that Torah is really transmitted. And therefore, everything that one learns is Nitan L'Moshe Mi Sinai. He learns it from Sinai. Then, therefore, he learns it directly from the Medrash. And this is the big error. In nowadays and in prior days, where people were saying, If a Bayan Rabbi can understand the Mishnah, why can't I understand the Mishnah? I'm also a human being. I also have human experiences, world experiences, and I understand it from my vantage point. That's exactly what we're trying to prevent. This is a total error. Because the union of Torah is Hashem's wisdom, not human wisdom. Hashem's wisdom as the human being can draw it, can understand it. But you must always remember that he is learning it from Hashem. But if he is learning it from his own experience, his own insight, then this is not Torah at all. And this is exactly what happened, historically in the world, and all the various shittas and all that, conservatism and reformism and all that. This is where it all was based on. And eventually it completely severed the relationship to the source, to the reality.
The statement, Lo b'shamayim hi, it's not in heaven. That's to say, I'm giving it, that's Hashem saying I'm giving it over through this channel, I'm giving it.
Take a look in Rashi, what Rashi says, Lo b'shamayim hi. HaTorah nitnu lachem b'ksav u'be'al peh. Nitnu lachem b'ksav u'be'al peh. Not Lo b'shamayim hi, it's yours to investigate and find out. That's not Torah. And we have to understand that this is not a reduction in human intelligence. Oh, we don't trust your intelligence. On the contrary, true intelligence, the whole phenomenon of intelligence, of Chochmah, is that Chochmah aims and wants to know things the way they are known in their source, not the way I see it in my world. That's exactly what Chochmah is.
So this Mechadesh, every novelty is already given, is already from Moshe Rabbeinu. In what way is it novel? Because it's
he revealed it in our world, in his world. It's a real chidush, because to know this in the world is a breakthrough. Like we said in simple terms, we said travel is something that existed in human experience, in human life, from time immemorial, from the beginning of time. Did the car designer inventors invent travel? Did they invent travel? The principle of travel, this is what they mimicked, that they took that and developed it further and further. Sure, a car is a tremendous invention, but they didn't invent the travel element. They facilitated travel in a more practical way. But what is the impetus of a car? What brought a person to invent and design and build cars? The human principle of travel. Like you say all the time, that running in circles, this is not what gave the spirit, the inspired to create a car. This is what Chochmah. Chochmah, as we said once before, the word Chochmah means wisdom. And we compare Chochmah, we say Re'iyah is a comparable thing as Chochmah. So you could say Chochmah is a very clear and profound recognition. Where is the word Chochmah come in? Chochmah means wisdom. Wisdom means that it makes sense. In other words, it's correct. It's not just this is the way I see it. Where's the wisdom element? It's the wisdom element that tells him, no, you better go to the source. That's where the wisdom is. If you take things the way you see it at your level, from your vantage point, you're not having the real thing. It may serve you, like you take the car and go in circles. Oh, it's interesting. Look what I can do. But you're missing the whole point. This is what the Gemara says. We mention all the time that when the king came with his whole entourage, all kind of people have made choices, what kind of ministers they pick and so forth. A pikach, which is essentially a chochem, he said, "Anon nosiv malka." I choose the king. And we discussed it many times. What the choice of the king mean? The king does not extend himself, does not come down to employ people to give you what you want. The king is in his palace, in his own reality. So what kind of choice is it? Anon nosiv malka. That's exactly what the Chochmah recognizes. Chochmah says, no, all I need is a king. Once I have the king, everything else falls into place. Everything else I can compromise. My breakfast is on time or not on time, or it's a good breakfast. That's trivial. Is it a reality? This is the meaning of these words. Shezehu mitzad hadveikus bim koirei. Means that it is felt in exactly the reality of Asmus Amita, not knowing it that I understand that this is the way it is. He senses he actually experiences, so to speak, that which Asmus experiences. Hayeshu Amiti is a true yes. And there is none besides him. The kule kamei kelochashi. Because everything kamei before him is kelochashi, is like nothing. This principle, kule kamei kelochashi, sounds like a comparison. Atmos versus everything else. It says there's no comparison. Kul kamek lochashiv is a very exposing statement. We learned in the previous Maimer, this is going for a long time, that actually in Atzmus there's no such thing as oir. The whole phenomenon of Gilui, that Atzmus should express itself, should expose itself, doesn't exist. Nothing to expose. Exposure does not enrich or describe Asmus in any which way. Look what I'm able to do. That has not touched the principle of Asmus. This Inyan, that Kula Kamei Kulachashiv, we just finished saying, where's Kulu Kamei Kulachashiv? It seems to be a step down from that. So explaining, this is not a step down. This is explaining. Hu levado hu ve'en zo los. And even oir, the oir of the Atmos, is also doesn't exist. Ve'en zo los. When you say kula kamei koloch yeshiv, means that as we said before, we said that the Gilui Oir is because he wants to be Megala Oir. Not because this is something real in and of itself. Like we said, sun is light, and therefore the oil of the sun is light. The nefesh is chai, therefore the oil of the nefesh is chayus. There's the oil and the nefesh, there's a relationship. You can identify the nefesh from the oil that comes from it. Who can make loch yeshiv does not identify what that is.
He's saying that Chochmah is relating to the Atmos?
Chochmah is relating to the Atmos.
Even though there's nothing...
That's right. That's what he said. This is what the Pikach Anon Mosif Malko. What is there in the Melech? I'll tell you what there is in the Melech. The Gemara says further, when the Melech comes, and the people come to the Melech, Gzeir Oleinu Gzeiris. Tell us what to do. And the Melech says, Kablu Malchusi, Yehakach Egzer Echim Gzeiris. First, if I accept my Malchus, then I'll give you Gzeiris. What is in it that they say Gzeir Oleinu Gzeiris? If you give it, like I said before, if you give us a gzeira, then we become real people. We have something to relate to. We are for real. The Melech gave us a command. This is how the Ayin of the Melech, the essence of the Melech, is transmitted, is given over to this is how the Melech is a Melech. Ein Melech below Yam. The Melech is a Melech over the Yam. Through this Gzeiros. And then the Am, what is the Am? The Am is reflective of the Melech. They're not an entity unto themselves. The Am is reflected with the Melech. And this is what makes the Am into an Am. And this is what Chochmah is. Chochmah senses that all Giluyim, anything that you understand, anything that you can take from outside is insignificant, is nothing. There's no truth to it. The truth is exclusively in the answer. And this is where he's standing to. And the only way to relate to that is by Gzeir Oleinu Gzeiros. Like we said the other day, Kabbalah says. I'm going back again this line because there's so much in this. It's ad hadveikus, bim koirei, because in dveikus she'ali dei zeh. As a result of this dveikus, bim koirei, because that's what Chochmah is, it stays dovek to its source. Nirgash shom, it is sensed there, eich shehu atzmu hu hayeshu amiti. What he senses, what Chochmah senses is not, oh, this is the truth, I have to obey it. No, he senses what Atmos is. Hayeshu Amiti. How can you know Yeshu Amiti outside of the Yeshu Amiti? There's no way. Chochmah knows Yeshu Amiti. If we live in this world, and there's no yesh amiti in this world, there's nothing emes, everything is transient. How do you get a sense of yesh amiti? This is the nature of Chochmah. This is the tension of Chochmah. That he does not take things the way I experience, the way I have it, but the way it is in where it's coming from. Yesh hu amiti, the true yesh. Be'ein zulo say, and there is none besides it. The kule kamei kolochaship, and as we explained, the principle kule kamei kolochaship, that kule kamei kolochaship means that nothing can represent this truth. Of yesh amiti. The motion for that, as far as we should be able to relate to this principle, is the motion that we have from the host and the guest. We're saying, no matter what the host gives the guest, everybody knows what I'm talking about. No matter what the host gives the guest, he can give me a feast, a 5-course meal. If he is not present, there is nothing there. The feast does not represent this truth. Even though you're saying, oh, this is a feast befitting a king. This is a king, and therefore it's befitting a king. But it's not. But it doesn't reveal the king. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, you don't know. We have discussed it for a long time already. Say, someone invites someone for dinner. Come, let's have dinner. So he comes into his home, and he serves him a hefty dinner. And as soon as it's time to eat, his host says, okay, enjoy your dinner, I'm going. Also, you heard it. This is simply exposing, even in our meager minds, exposing what do you mean by a truth? The truth is you can't experience his presence. You can experience the meal is what tells you that he is here. There's something intangible completely, and that is really this is what gives substance to everything else. Kula kamei kolochaship. You take away the whole meal, but you stay here. That's what I want. If you go away and give me the meal, I have nothing.
So Chochmah can relate directly to the host.
That's right. That's what Chochmah is. This is what Chochmah is. Maybe we'll discuss one day. This is what Chochmah is. Just like in sight. In sight, there is no, not by touch. By touch, I know it because it reflects. It reflects in my hand. This presence reflects in me. In sight, there's nothing reflected in me. I see it the way it is in itself, from its own perspective. That's what sight is. This is why, really, sight, the problems we have these days is unbelievable. This is sight and Chochmah are really based and they're dependent on a much higher quality in the person. It's called emunah. If a person does not have emunah that there is a truth, then he will not see anything. Anything he sees, he will have to substantiate. How much does it weigh? How big is it? What is it made of? Who made it? Okay, we have to go just a little bit further than we. And this is then the Inyan, the principle. We say Ayin, the angel lost. This is what we say in davening. Here there's a few words missing. Ein arech lecha b'olam hazeh, ve'ein zoloscha l'chai ha'olam haba. Ein arech lecha b'olam hazeh, and they've explained l'chai ha'olam haba is we say ein zoloscha. Dafke l'chai ha'olam haba. Ein zoloscha means there's none besides you. The b'olam hazeh, this is to say this, that in this world ein nirgash, we don't sense eich she'ein zoloscha. The principle Angel Asach, we can't be magish in this world. Because everything that we know in this world is there's a means by which we know it. So that means already said that it's not Angel Asach. If I know things by my seichel, so my seichel is a mitzvah. So be'elam hazeh ein indigas eich she'ein zol asach. Rak eich she'ein arech lecha. What can be nirgash in this world is dinge from ein arech. V'hainu.
Why can't you sense Ein Zulasecha? In other words, even Chochmah.
No. You can know that Ein Zulasecha, but to sense, to experience this Ein Zulasecha is impossible. Because whatever you experience it through a koyach. The koyach is a mitzvah. I explained many times the difference between standing outside and looking in and being inside. In the Olam Hazeh, you can only be looking in because your mitzvah is a separate mitzvah. Shom of a goof. You can be looking in. When you are inside, it's a completely different experience. Okay, to be continued, Dimitri, but don't worry. I will stay. All right, this is it.